As far as Rashee Rice goes, his situation, I'm leaving that like we've done most of these, just for the law enforcement part of it to take place, and then we'll go. We will go from there with that. So you can hold your question. I have had an opportunity to talk to Rashee, is so um, and I'm not going to obviously get into that, but anyways, that part that part has been excuse me has been gone through. So, anyways, well, really with that, time's yours here.
Thanks, Coach. Let's go ahead and start with Matt Derrick.
Hey, Coach. Couple of quick questions for you. One, just a housekeeping question. You mentioned at the combine that Ken Flagel had retired. Any other changes on the coaching staff?
Yeah, so that's a good point, Matt. So Ken Flagel did retire. We were able to move Rod Wilson into that position. Alex Whittingham, likewise, will take a little bit bigger role from his position. We hired Louis Adazio in that quality control position there on defense. And Louis got a bunch of experience coaching. He also adds a flavor that he's been an offensive coach, a line coach, and at the major college level, and that'll give us some good productive information for the defense going forward. So able to add good quality into the mix here.
We'll go next to Adam Teicher.
Hey, Andy. I know you talked about Rashee Rice's legal situation. I'm not asking you about that. I'm asking about his football situation. Just curious what his status is right now. Is he participating as you guys get this started? And will he be participating when you move into the next phase and move it back to Kansas City? And Sid, I'll have another question as well.
Yeah, so there's no real participation other than by Zoom. So he'll participate in that. But other than that, we don't have anything going on here that he would be involved with. So to answer your question, he's participating in the Zoom.
Okay.
And again, just a reminder on this, it's voluntary. So as we go forward, that's also another part of it.
Right. And do you anticipate that when you move the next phase, it moves back to Kansas City, that it'll be participating in that phase as well?
We're just going to take it day by day here as we go. Say it one more time, Adam.
I wanted to ask you about Hollywood Brown and Irv Smith. What you liked about those guys and how you see them fitting in here.
Yeah, so Hollywood Brown is a good speed receiver. Excuse me. He can play inside or outside. And I stay away from saying a deep threat, although he can do that. He can play within the offense and do all of the different routes that we ask. So he's a nice addition, and he's got some experience and production. And then who was the second one you asked about? Irv? Yeah. So Irv is a tight end. And kind of does everything pretty good. I mean, he's a good, solid football player. He's a good receiver, good after the catch, good blocker. Not necessarily the biggest guy, but really plays a good physical game, and kind of like what he's shown in the past. I think important really for both these guys that they're able to keep themselves, healthy and rolling, and that'll be part of it as we go forward there.
We'll go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hello, Coach. I have two questions as well. My first is, I know you talked in the past about how this is really more beneficial for the offense. Just what is the defense doing right now? And because of the continuity you have, how do you think this time may serve them? And Sid will have a second question as well.
Yeah, just only because, Nate, on the being more productive for the offense, because they can go out and actually throw the ball around and do that part of it. Defensively, it's hard to set up an offense and then have an offense do whatever they do against you. So so I think this phase one favors the offense that way. But at the same time, we go through this whole scheme evaluation in the offseason, offensively, defensively, and on special teams. And so that's where you benefit with being able to just do that on Zoom and or likewise in person. But Zoom, you can get everything done that you need to do there with the video and or new things that you might want to slip in there.
Gotcha. And secondly, we saw that Kadarius Toney is down in Texas, obviously with the rest of the guys working out with Patrick. Can you just explain what your message was to Kadarius in the exit interviews and what you would just like to see from him this offseason?
Yeah. So listen, I mean, Kadarius is arguably one of the most talented guys we have on the team. It's just a matter of staying healthy and being able to stay on the field. And you always hear about the reliability, accountability, all those things that go into it. And so I'm expecting him to come back ripping and ready to go. And it's great that he's down there working with Pat and putting the work in. So that's that's a positive. But yeah, no, listen, we like Kadarius. It's just a matter of having him on the field.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell.
Thanks, Sid. I'll have a couple quick things too. Andy, you've used this setup with Patrick down in Texas, or he's used it for a few years now. What benefit have you seen the past couple of years doing this?
Yeah, so a couple of things, Sam. We're coming off a 21-game season. It's a short off season, as you guys know. So it gives the guys an opportunity to stay away from here and maybe a little bit more laxed atmosphere, but at the same time get a ton of work done. And also there's a little camaraderie that goes with it, which is important on the offensive side, that the guys work and play together and kind of are on the same page. And it gives Pat an opportunity, along with the quarterbacks, to be able to kind of talk to the guys about what they see in a little bit slowed down pace. So it's been effective for us. The guys have come back in great shape, and they've come back knowing what their responsibilities are. And at the same time, they're getting, that influx of new and our scheme evaluation from last year thrown at them by the coaches.
The second one I had was just a follow-up to what Adam had asked about Rasheed's participation, understanding that there's certain particulars you can't comment on, but can you get into it all, or explain to it all the process of how it's determined whether or not he'll be part of the next phase going forward?
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes there, Sam. I mean, I want to get keep gathering the information from the law enforcement people. We'll just see where everything goes from there. Let the process take place, right?
Let's go next to Todd Palmer. Or sorry, Todd Lebo. Wrong Todd.
Too many Todds. Hey, Coach, wonder if you could just give us a little preview of what this rugby kid you guys signed is. I mean, and what the process will be like for someone who hasn't played American football to kind of get through your off season and see what he can do on the field.
Yeah, so he was introduced to this when he was young. His dad played 6 years at NFL, not NFL, but the European League. And so, he's somewhat familiar with the sport, and he sure has had a lot of success in rugby. And there's some similarities there. It's a contact sport, and he's had to catch the ball and do those things and run with the ball. And so we'll start him off at the run back position, get him to feel comfortable with that going forward here. And, he's had an opportunity to also go down there to Dallas and work with Pat. And so again, he'll get used to some of these calls and through our Zooms and the plays, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. And Dave will have an opportunity to have him on special teams and see where that goes. But that's not an easy transition, but he seems to be wired playing competitive rugby since he professionally since he was 17 years old. So he's sitting there at 23. He's had a pretty good career with that, and kind of understands the professional game and the and the mindset to play at a professional level.
Now we'll go to Todd Palmer.
Hey, Andy, I appreciate it. I wanted to follow up real quick. Do you, and then I'll have a second question, but do you see Reese Zammit, especially with the new kickoff rules, being a return specialist type guy? Will he be in that mix potentially?
Potentially. We're just going to see how it goes here. Not see, how Dave puts them all out there. They're all out there working on returns. So before and during practice, and we'll just see what his feel is and where that goes.
And then I wanted to look forward to the draft real quick. And there's so much focus when you talk mock drafts and with the public on that first round. But if you look at roster construction, is there too much emphasis on that first round, since so many of the guys that fill out rosters are actually not first round guys or even undrafted?
I'm not sure I've seen as many mock drafts going on as they're going on right now. I mean, I know, but it's an amazing amount of mock drafts out there, and I got to give the guys credit. They're all a little different. Some guys are onto their third first round mock draft, doing that. But so Brett's got Brett heads this whole thing up and does a nice job with making sure that he's got all the rounds covered. And there is a tremendous amount of input that goes into this first round pick. However, it also has a very, there's like a 50% success rate over a 5-year period for these first round picks. It's a bit crazy for all the time that's spent doing them. And you've got to make sure that you cover the other parts of the draft. And you're right. I mean, all the way to the point where your college free agents almost become your second highest percentage of make it on these teams over that 5-year span. So it's you've got to really stay intact with the whole board. How you layer the board is so important, and stack it ends up being so important. And that order can be, I mean, one guy off, that could be your Pro Bowl player just by one guy. So Brett spends so much time with the scouts and going in there and just bashing it out. I call it the lockdown. He locks them in there for 2-week periods, and they just beat it up in there and make sure that board is layered right. It's a tribute to his dedication on that thing. So.
We got 3 left. Let's go next to Sarin.
Coach, a couple just kind of connected, but you guys always, speaking of the draft, what Todd was asking about, always seem to, kind of be ready to roll if you didn't have the draft, right? You usually are 1 or 2 deep at every spot. I'm curious, one, at wide receiver, does that situation, because it's an unknown, does that bump up your value or your need at the wide receiver position? Would you like to be a little bit deeper there? And then also, I know left tackle, right now, most people kind of have Wanya Morris penciled in there. Are those spots that you still might like to add a veteran because of those situations?
You're all over this thing. I can tell you're deep into it. I like it. So those are 2 positions. Yeah, we are looking at, but I mean, we're looking, Brett's looking at all of them. So you're sitting at pick 32. So it's a tough, it's tough to tell you what's going to take place there. It's a great thing on one hand to be 32nd because you've done okay, and then on the season before, but that's a long wait, and you better really stay true to the board, what's there, and take the best player you possibly can, at that spot. So, but I would tell you those 2 positions he's looking at, but he's also kind of going through everything. So we've got spots and depth that we could use really everywhere. And then, we'll just see with the whole Rashid thing, how that goes. But, we should have when it's all said and done, we should have players in there ready to go.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, just following up on Seren with the left tackle position, you guys were able to get 4 starts out of Wanye Morris as you look to build the roster for this year. You feel a lot of confidence about him if he did have to start a left tackle, and just generally, how are you feeling about that position?
Yeah, I thought it was P. I thought it was a good introduction for him coming in and having that experience of playing in 4 games. He has even a better feel now for this offseason and what's going to be expected of him when he gets back and is put in that spot. So, you know, so there's got to be an improvement. There's got to be an urgency there, which I know he feels. So he's back in town here and working. So he's and when he wasn't here, he was down in Dallas working out. So he where a lot of players go, quite a few offensive linemen are down there doing the same thing. So he was able to get in that mix and work with those guys. So it looks like he's in pretty good shape right now. And I think he understands, you know, what it takes to be an every down guy at that spot. But again, there'll be competition, and he's got to make sure that he takes care of business there.
Last one quickly to Darren Smith.
Thank you, Sydney. Good morning, Coach.
Hi, Darren.
So 2 questions for you, and I'll make it quick. Are you finding more value as we're approaching the draft than what you all have done, being, I guess, active but not too active in the free agency market? I know you brought in Hollywood and you brought in a rugby guy and you re-signed some of your players, but are you finding more value in this upcoming draft than some of the free agents that are still out there? And then I have one more for you.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, we feel comfortable with what we've done there with the free agency. Brett's always going to keep his eyes open on that. Does a great job in that area. And I would tell you this part, Darren, the ability that we've had to bring guys back here, the quality of the guys that we brought back here, I think is a real tribute to, you know, Chris Shea and his position, his new position now, and his guys. So, and then Brett for going out and getting, and we always thank Clark Hunt for this because it comes out of his wallet, and he's been, you know, he's, like I always mention, he gives us an opportunity to win and in that area. So you know, Chris Jones, let's not slight that one. That's a pretty big one, and Dana is big in the same position there. Nadi coming back is big. That strength up front, I think it all starts there and becomes very important for us as we go forward there. So,
and definitely, of course, if you know, looking at 3-peat as well. When you're and one last question, this is about Rasheed. Knowing what you've seen, the videos, the reports, everything that's come out of your conversation with them, do you and the organization, do you all still put trust in Rasheed with his decision making and everything?
well, yeah. Listen, as long as he's learned from it, that's it. That's the important part of it, and you know, we'll take it from there and see, you know, see what takes place. But right now, we're just kind of gathering everything and trying to make sure we have all the bases covered there.
Thank you, Coach. That's all we got for you.
Okay.